What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I want to talk more about Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1. This is a really cool set that just got announced not too long ago, just a couple days ago. Pretty much what it is a new kind of set, bringing together the first four packs of Hidden Arsenal, or boxes, or whatever, side sets of Hidden Arsenal, and then kind of cranking them into one. And I want to speculate on that a little bit. And the big thing I want to talk about here specifically is I don't think this set makes a lot of sense if there's no new cards in it. And maybe I'm just being foolish. Maybe we'll see. Maybe this is just Konami saying, oh, we just did Legendary Duelist Season 1 in Season 2, even though those sets are like awful. Everybody agrees those sets are like pretty poo. They're just like killing value of like cards that are really cool, like collector's cards. And other than that, there's like nothing really desirable about them. So we'll see. I mean, maybe this isn't even a thing, but I do want to speculate and say, hey, I don't think this set makes too much sense. I don't think it will be too popular because of the kind of archetypes that are in it. Like the archetypes that are in this one, I mean, it's like, it's not that desirable of things. So we'll see, but I think it makes sense that there will be some new cards. So today I'm going to talk about the 5 archetypes that can be in here that I think are the most interesting, because there's actually not a ton of archetypes that could even be in here. I didn't know how many different archetypes were going to end up in Hidden Arsenal 1 through 4, but there's really only 11 different ones, and we'll talk about those today. So really cool there. Yeah. Pretty much starting off with the first Hidden Arsenal, you have the introduction of a lot of these archetypes. You have Ice Barriers, Mist Valley, Flamvel, X-Saber, Ally of Justice, and Worm. You have a ton in the first one going on there. In the second one, you have Naturia introduced, Gen X, same thing with like our Gen X. I count them the same thing with like Neo Flamvel and that stuff. Fabled is a cool one. Durak is another one, and then Dragoonity gets introduced in the third pack, and then in the fourth pack, it's just new cards brought to the TCG for all of these archetypes. So it's more like support instead of anything new. So that brings me to what do I most want to see here? I mean, I honestly, I'd want to see stuff that actually has potential, but I also don't want to overdo it. I mean, I don't want to overstate the fact that Dragoonity just got their TCG or their OCG structure deck, but in our things, all of the stuff was imported Ghost from the past. So they just got what, 6 cards at least? They maybe even more. They already had a lot of cards. They are legitimately like a legit competitive deck right now. And depending on how the ban list goes for Dragon Link, it could be the best variant going forward. I don't know, but that's something to keep in mind. Also, Ice Barriers, they got their 6 new cards in the structure deck and a new card, Lightning Overdrive. And I still think there's like 1 or 2 cards that were like promos in the OCG that we haven't gotten, or they got somewhere and I don't think we've gotten. Don't quote me on that, but I do think there's still like 1 card or 2 cards that we haven't seen. And the last one is Fabled. Fabled just got 5 cards in Lightning Over. Is it like, are they in Lightning Overdrive? No, they're oh my god, why am I blanking so hard? No, they were in Blazing Vortex. Yeah. We have 5 new cards for Fabled in Blazing Vortex. Now, that one's not as bad. The other 2 obviously have better support, more support even. So this one you could still potentially think of. And maybe what they'll do is just throw 1 or 2 cards for each archetype in there. I don't know. You know, 1 or 2, I wouldn't be mad for those. But if they get another like 3 to 4 cards for each of those, I'm just like, bruh. At some point, you just got to be like, nah, other archetypes. We gotta support some other archetypes. So I'm gonna leave those 3 off the list for me, just because they have gotten a lot of support very, very recently. Not just semi-recently, like 1 or 2 years ago. This is very, very recent, right? Okay, so let's get into the list. Starting off, Ally of Justice. This is a cool archetype. They don't really seem to have a ton of synergy between them as of yet, but they do have a couple of just like staple cards that have found themselves into metas. I mean, Catastrophe hasn't been good for a while, but you know, long ago, beginning of Synchro era, this was actually a really good card. You also have stuff like, what's the other one? Cycle Reader is the one that's recently come into play versus Drytron. It's like a DD Crow, but it only banishes exactly 2 light monsters from grave. So obviously versus Drytron, that's very, very powerful. And even potentially like Eldritch, if you can get your opponent to have 2 Eldritches in grave, you can punish them for it really hard. But Yeah, I just think this is an archetype that it has some generic cards that have seen play in competitive formats, and I think that would be really cool to get potentially another couple there, and their designs are all really cool and all over the place. I like it. Next up is X Sabers, and some people are definitely going to put this higher on their list. I just think, I don't know, I like, this is definitely a deck that they would need to have a couple cards to really do something with, but I still think they have some cool cards. We saw Gotham's see somewhat a little bit of play during a virtual world format, and that's pretty cool. Hand ripping isn't cool, but the fact that an X Saber card was being played in 2021 is kind of cool. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool to see a couple of X Saber cards come out of here. They do have some potential, I will say that. They just don't have a ton of stuff already that's gonna like, you know what I mean? It's not like they have this awesome core and they just need a couple cards outside of it to make it happen. They don't have the strongest core. They just have a couple things like Gotham's as a potential win condition, not once per turn. And I don't know. We'll have to see if it's really worth even giving them support. Next up is Gen X. This is kind of almost makes you feel similar to Ally of Justice, but the thing here is they're not necessarily, they have a couple cards that aren't necessarily like meta staples, but they're cards that have worked in other engines, and that's really cool to me. You have stuff like Undying with the Gen X controller being a really cool engine for a couple of Mermail decks, you know, mid 2010s, and that's really cool. I mean, this card actually is one card Halki Vibrax now, so you also got to respect that. It's a pretty good normal summon. I mean, that's just plain and simply it. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. If they do get a couple of other cards like this, that would be something to keep an eye on. And they have some awesome designs. If you go through all the Gen X cards, they actually have some awesome designs, although a lot of them are not quite amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but very cool. Number 2, I have Jirax. These aren't in any order, by the way. Jirax is another cool one. Listen, we're getting Scrap Raptor here, and I know I potentially, you know, and potentially giving Dinosaur a path to being even stronger, even though they're already meta. I know I said that at the beginning, but one thing with Dinosaur is that, like, it's literally just been Dino Smasher's Fury, and that's it. We've not really seen other Dinosaur builds really excel in a competitive format in so long. And so if Jirax, and listen, Jirax need a lot of help. They don't have a strong base so far. I mean, Aeolo's an interesting card that's kind of cool for them. Could be a combo piece. I don't know. But if they got a couple more cards, it could allow just for more variation to like Dinosaur builds. I mean, it's one of those types. It's like zombies, right? You don't see a lot of different zombie, I don't know, types. There's not a bunch of different like zombie archetypes running around. It's pretty much like the zombie horde stuff. Sometimes you play it with other stuff. Maybe you see different variants, but it's still that stuff. And dinos are kind of the same way, right? Like you just see the same Dino Smasher's Fury stuff because Oviraptor's too good, Miscellaneous Source is too good, Conductor's too good, Anibadorn's too good, Fossil Dig is too good, Lost World's too good. Like, all their cards are just too good. They won't get power crept. But now we see the introduction of something like Scrap Raptor, and maybe if we get a couple things from Jirax that are interesting, and maybe add a little spice to dinos, maybe they'll diversify a little bit, and that would be something cool to see, because dinos have just been the same for like a minute. So yeah, that'd be really cool there. And the last thing here we have is Naturia. I think Naturia is probably my personal number 1. I just feel they already have so many cards, and some of their cards are actually interesting. They have what, the Dandelion one, which is actually a pretty good like normal summon, which is awesome. You have insane win conditions like Exterio, like Barkion, like, what is it, Landios is the other one. They have a couple of good, like really crazy like synchro fusions. And oh, how am I even forgetting him? What's the lion one? I can't remember his name. He negates spells infinitely. Whatever. They have some really cool access to some really cool cards. They also have insane win conditions like Bamboo Shoot. While it's up face up on the field, it's like your opponent can't activate spells and traps So if you pair him with just like, and he's 2000 body, he can't even be walked over that easy. If your opponent, if you just have like one monster negate paired with him, you just like win 90% of your duels probably. It's crazy. That card's insane. So I think they have a couple cool tools. They even have some nice engine stuff. Like I said, the Dandelion one, you've got like Pineapple, which is a pretty cool card for them. They just never really got quite enough going for them to really make it happen. And so if they got a couple cards that just maybe made their engine like work a little bit, I think they'd be a cool deck to try out. They just have so many tools, right? So yeah, I mean, that's where I end up. That's my number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, there's only 11 archetypes here that are possible, so keep that in mind. I mean, and we don't even know if we're getting new cards. They didn't say it here, which does make me nervous. I don't know, though. I just think my questioning is that, like, Legendary Duelist has, like, classic archetypes from fan-favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. So reprinting some of those really expensive cards, you know what I mean? Getting some of those hero reprints, getting some of the you know, I don't know, Millenniumized Restrict was expensive as hell, right? Like a bunch of the Blue Eye stuff was getting pretty expensive. Like reprinting that stuff is like cool, but in this set, like what are you reprinting? Like a lot of this stuff has found reprints somewhere. I mean, some of it hasn't. Like we saw, like the Jurek, the level 1, this guy's like expensive because he's part of some Dino builds and he's just like a brick, but he is an unreprinted card outside of, maybe he was in a OTS pack, I can't remember, but and some of the other cards too just haven't been reprinted in a long time. But still, I still kind of question like whether or not that's enough value in this set without having anything new to bring excitement to it. So I'm still holding out. I hope there'll be some new cards in here for some of these archetypes because they definitely deserve it. And yeah. So let me know in the comment section down below what archetypes you would throw in here. Like what would you change from this list as far as like the 11 archetypes that can end up being in here? What do you want to see as far as, you know, support, if there is support in this set? I just thought this was a cool topic video just because like this is a pretty interesting set. We haven't seen something like this yet. We don't have a ton of information on it just yet. And I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool set. I don't know. I just want to see some of the support. So let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see here on your list instead of mine. I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching as always. And subscribe if you haven't and want to stay tuned for more stuff from me later. Goodbye.